What up? What up? What up?
Hey. Okay, so welcome to SeerNova Podcast, episode 94. We're getting close to 100.
Nice.
We have Demetrius Witherspoon. We actually talked to you like a year or two ago.
Right.
And now you're on our podcast. So what's going on with you?
It's good to be here, man. As creatives, we just keep on pushing, right? So it's awesome to be here. And this, we're all doing our thing, and from Facebook, just seeing everybody's, their levels as they keep growing. It's been something to see you guys, what you guys do. So kudos to you guys.
Thanks. Yeah, we were just talking about before we started recording how Demetrius and I were able to meet in Nashville about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So it's definitely cool to get you on here.
Yeah. We met in that coffee shop and everything, and I appreciate that because that's what this is all about. Connecting with folks, and you just as we all grow, we come together sometime or another on some kind of project. So I appreciate y'all having me on the show.
Definitely. And I think when we were chatting, I'm trying to remember what was your website again? I remember when I first met you, that's one of the things that we were looking at.
Submerge or something.
It's a DV Entertainment Pictures.com. That's pictures with an S. And so
there it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Second it popped up, I recognized it. That's what I was looking for. I was gonna say, because I remember checking this out. Yeah, she did some. Actually, you did a lot more additions to this since the last time I looked at it.
Yeah, I need to clean up some things. Things are moving so fast. It's hard to keep all the social media and everything up to date. So
yeah, I feel you on that. We just did a huge revamp of our whole website just because the original site was built with a custom theme that I had designed for it. And Greg essentially was at the whims of like whenever I had free time to fix it. So now I basically found this theme that he'll be able to edit, and I rebuilt the entire theme that I had designed before, and now he can basically do whatever he wants to the site.
Nice.
So I definitely feel you. I'm trying to have more than one hand on it.
Yeah, that would be nice. So, but yeah, just continuously growing. We started out with film. I'm a kind of self-taught film director. Come from music, doing R&B singing and bands and things like that. And then I wanted to do some music videos. And so I borrowed some money from my brother and rented a camera, Canon 60D, for a week, and we shot 3 music videos, and I was hooked.
Nice.
I was like, that's what I want to do. And from there, I created the story of the Submerge Universe, and 5 films, animated pilot, animated series coming, and comic books, and other things we'll talk about later. Here we are now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say, that's something that we started doing here. I think we actually did chat about that when you were here. Is that we actually started doing some music videos, and since then we've now gotten connected with a few more people. One of the artists that I'm managing, he's actually getting into like learning After Effects. It's like such a fun world, like getting into like being able to do film and music videos. Just another way to story tell. It's an excellent thing.
Yeah, everything so can be crossed over, and that a lot of that carries over, into film. They're actually, when you're editing, you kind of have that. You got to have that beat. You have, that rhythm of how everything's going to come out, and then that leads into the films and things like that. And so I love seeing how people are doing some of their music videos and animation. and things like that, man, that just stands out, you know. So just using all the different creative tools that we have, and a lot of them is free.
Yeah, that's the incredible thing, is that there's so much out there now. I always learned, just like, if you want to do something, you just from Google, you can figure it out. Like, there is so much stuff on there now. Like, I think the one thing, like, any creative out there is trying to like create something and they don't know like where to begin, but they know like, oh, if I just had Photoshop, or if I just had, Premiere Pro, all these top tier, just go to Google, type in whatever you want and type in alternative, and you will
Right.
find free software that is just as good, sometimes better, depending on what you're trying to do. And it's incredible what you can do out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, with like DaVinci Resolve, I'm able to still edit and send it out to other professionals in a way that they would be able to edit from the timeline too. So yeah, nothing's impossible anymore, because like I tell people when I have different panels and stuff, how to be a filmmaker, they like, well, where do I start and everything. I was like, reach into your pocket and pull out your phone right here. It's 4K. Movies have been shot on this thing. There's movies on Netflix that has been shot with the iPhone, so or with a phone, so it can be done. You just start out small and make it happen.
That's something like, for the music industry with my brother. One of the things that we do is we do like artist consultation for like singer songwriters, rappers, whatever, like people that are trying to grow their career. And like we like, so often the thing I notice is like the younger people who grew up when like Google already existed, for whatever reason, like they forget that Google exists. Like whenever we started an artist management company, and I was like, I have no idea how to be an artist management. So I went to Google and literally just searched for how to be a good artist manager. And the stuff that comes up, I watched over 1,000 hours of videos, and I'll talk to, these kids that are, trying to be artist managers. And I'm like, oh yeah, did you, do this? And they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. It's like, it's all over the internet. Like, you just have to Google it. It's crazy. Like, if you want to do it, videos, my friend, actually the artist that I'm managing, he's the one who's trying to get into After Effects, like the internet. Like, you just go on there and you can find it. Like, there's so much content on there.
Yeah. YouTube College is what I call it. Because,
YouTube.
You learn enough, and then you just go out and do it. And you're gonna make mistakes and things like that, but that's all part of the process. And so, but all of that information is there for you. And then, like for me, like when we learned, like it was me and my 14-year-old daughter sitting watching YouTube on how to use the camera and stuff, and mics and stuff. And then, so we went out and did it. There was 8 of us, and by the time we got to the third film, there was 30 people on set, and we had a WWE wrestler, Bishop Stevens, on board.
Very cool.
Yeah, he was driving in from St. Louis to Indianapolis here where we film. And then he would drive from here to Chicago to film on Fox TV show called Empire at the time. And so, he's been on that, Chicago PD, and Netflix and Showtime. So, eventually I started using social media to find groups that were doing the same thing or what I was doing. And now some cities might have it, but here in Indiana, there is a Indiana Film Network. And so there's different chapters in all different parts of Indiana. And before COVID, they would have monthly meetings. So I could go to any one of those meetings, and there would be producers, comic book writers, actors, production companies, from just starting out to people that have done 37 feature length films for Hollywood and things like that. So I had access to that, and that's how I started to build my crew as I went along. But most definitely, just going out and doing it. Look at how you do it. One of the best schooling I had is the behind the scenes on Blu-ray of your favorite film. It's like, how did they do that?
I love those.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, have you ever watched the behind the scenes for like The Matrix, like the original, like the first one? Like some of that stuff's incredible. Like that scene, the famous scene, the bullet dodging. Like they set up something like 300 plus cameras in this huge loop around him, and then basically he just fell back and it captured it in every angle across. Like that.
Yeah.
It's funny because like now we have like fast moving cameras on rigs, but this is what they did. They just figured it out.
Right. It's just amazing how technology has increased and gotten better. Just look at
what was that? What was that group you mentioned, by the way, that you said that all of these people from different levels were in?
Oh, it's the IFN, the Indiana Film Network. They have probably about 8 different pages on Facebook. They have a website, but the biggest one, I think they have over 7,000 people on their page. So Indiana Film Network, and I learned a lot, and just being able to. I mean, you don't have to work in Hollywood anymore, and I mean, I know Nashville's got a lot of
huge amount of entertainment
things going on, right?
Oh yeah.
So, you don't have to work in Hollywood anywhere, and I know a lot of actors that they work from their area, and then if they got to fly out or what have you, to film in Georgia or LA, then
that's the cool thing is, like, the reason why a bunch of people are coming to Nashville now, which basically, if Nashville's like right near the center of the country. There's tons of like states around it that are close by. They're moving like production houses here. They're moving recording houses here. They're doing a lot of the technical side of film here. And then, I'm sure everyone who's seen a movie before has seen that Georgia peach at the end. Right. And that's because Atlanta, Georgia, and Georgia in general is excellent for film. So even the Hollywood people send their people to Georgia all the time. And so like we're like 2 to 4 hours away from Georgia here in Nashville. Like you can come here, do anything you want, and then drive a few hours as opposed to having to get a flight and be in a state that's like excellent for film. So like, it's like a really cool thing. Like, anybody can get there now. It's not like you have to, it doesn't matter where you are. Flights to California are always more expensive. Flights to Georgia, they're not expensive. Like, you can get there.
Got you. I think you froze up there. Okay. All right, cool. But the other part of that too, not only reaching out to social media, but if you do a film, it doesn't matter how short it is, put it into a film festival. And usually there's one locally, not too far away from you. Some you can go to, some are online, but get your film, and it doesn't matter what it looks like or what have you. Even if there are film festivals that are just for people that shoot their movies on their phone. The Mobile Film Festival I was a judge at, and there was movies from all over the world, Italy, Russia, everywhere, and just amazing movies done with just the phone. So that's the other thing I suggest to ones just getting started. Go to Film Freeway, and you can go in there and search film festivals, and you can find some that are free. They go from free to up to probably $70 to get into a film festival, and all over the world. So we've won awards in India for best movie, best animated series, things like that. So that's to get your work out there. And if you,
I'm definitely grabbing that.
yeah, if all possible, try to go to one of them, especially if it's local. Go, because you're going to
That
meet other.
networking.
You're right. Just like the music field, you're going to meet other producers, actors, and I've met people that are now like on the blacklist, and they're got movies on Netflix, and they either were at the start of their career or just passing through. So you never know who you're going to meet. So that also helps you too. Those are connections.
Yeah, 100%. I would say that's something that a lot of people think like, I even remember when I was in upstate New York, it's like, it's some place where you're like, I'm not near a big city. Not a lot of people come through, but like there's areas everywhere. Like, even if you're in the middle of nowhere, like, typically it's cheap to fly to some like close by city, or drive there, whatever you got to do. But like, get to those cities where the stuff's happening. Here in Nashville, I think the first week that I like moved here, because I moved here in like October 2019, my brother brought me to this event that was a free event, which I didn't know that until we got there, that was put on by like these five executives of major music businesses, like what was it, Prescription, like A&R, that kind of stuff, like top tier people put this event together. Open bar, like just ridiculousness. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And we ended up running into like the GM of Cobalt Music, one of the top publishing companies in the world, right? And you never know what's going to happen. Like, I went up, I found this one guy named Big Fella. He was awesome. Like, he knew everybody, so I just walked around with him and just started meeting people. He runs into this guy. I don't think he knew him yet. Started chat with him. I could tell me and this guy weren't hitting it off. And so I'm like, well, I better bring my brother over before he goes south. I bring him over. They're like, hey, whatever, like just chilling. And then my brother notice he's wearing Yeezys. And that's all it takes. It's like that one thing that you connect on. It doesn't matter what level they're at, because, my brother got his email. They grabbed coffee a few months later. Like, you can connect with and find extremely important people in the industry. You just have to physically be there. And that's like the huge game changer. Like what is it? Your network is your net worth, right? Or your net worth is your network. Like, it's so true.
Yeah, it is. And you create a relationship that, hey, you might like us, we haven't seen each other for almost 2 years, but now, we're connecting. It's like, oh yeah, I remember, and so you create that relationship, and it's not all about, oh, what can I get out of this, because those connections, you just never know. Later down the road, they're like, oh, I remember you, what you doing? I'm doing this. Well, I got this guy that does this and this, like, so those things happen. So a little bit how I kind of got into comics. I didn't, I grew up around comics. I didn't go to a lot of Comic Cons and things like that. When I was younger, I see it on TV, everybody dressing up and things like that. And so it wasn't until I got into my 30s and my film got into a film festival. It was at Gen Con, which is nothing but a board game con, but it also has a film festival. But they have over 70,000 people come through.
Gem City Comic Con?
Huh?
Is it called Gem City Comic Con? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's Gen Con.
Oh, Gen Con.
Yeah.
I found it. Yeah, Gen Con Indie. A bunch of stuff.
So that's when I started really learning about world building and the fantasy worlds, and seeing people in cosplay that has their own trading cards. And I was like, oh my God, I can do this stuff, And that's when I started learning, and because you see George Lucas in them, and he's got games based off his movie and comics and things like that, but you never realize that it's part of like transmedia. So you have your comics, but it's extending that world. It's not just a recopy of the story. It's extending the universe through those different medias. And so I had my films, 5 films, and so I started to create my comics. We have a novel. We have a card game based off my series, the animated series, and then all the merchandise and things like that, and trading cards. So at any point, people can get into my world. Like, oh, I love your comic books. What did you know about the 5 films that we got? I was like, oh no, where can I check that out?
It's so cool because like when it comes to marketing, like the reason, like whenever I'm like talking with a client or whatever, like I'm always letting them know like you need to be everywhere, and it's not because it's not just because you want to like spam people. What you're doing is making sure that like, hey, Bob over here only goes on Medium to read blogs. He doesn't go on Facebook or Instagram. You'll never find Bob if you're not on Medium, right? And it's the same in the entertainment world of creating enough different essentially items across various mediums such as comics and toys and collectibles and films, and it's very cool. I love universal principles like that.
And anymore that's kind of where we got to be, because people's attention spans are they're right here, boom, boom, Netflix, Hulu, and then we got Switch, and so you got to kind of keep people engaged, and I just try to keep some kind of content out there, because what happens, and we all know, somebody's going to tune into something, and then they go down the rabbit hole of searching everything. And then that's when you start to see, oh, somebody bought that, and somebody bought a book. Okay, cool. So,
it's like the Justin Bieber story. Literally, he happened to be like, if he could have gone to bars all over his state and it might have done nothing, but he posted on YouTube and got found by somebody, right? Like, it's the whole point. You got to be everywhere.
Yeah. It's so key, So, it's not an easy thing, but it can be done, and don't look at what everybody else is doing, because sometimes that, you're looking at that big mountain. Oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that. Just take out a chunk here and there and do what you can do. And eventually you'll get there, but there's a lane for everybody.
Yeah. I just saw on Instagram last night, actually, there was people that we follow, Bristol Media Group or whatever they're called. I think that's what they're called. And they're from like Brooklyn or something. That doesn't matter to the story at all. But they were talking about how there's Marvel and DC, and they're doing all these movies and they have all these comics, but indie people can actually do that too. And I'm like, yes, that could be done, but you have to it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we want to do that. So I want to make my own movies, but we have to come out with our own comics first. And then we're also coming out with each Kickstarter now. We're going to have at least 1 or 2 trading cards that are with whatever comic that we're doing. And that started with our Seer Chronicles comic. So when we come out with the 2 other comics that are coming out this year, there's going to be a trading card that's associated with them. So if you don't really want to read the comics, you could learn a bit about the characters, and then eventually there'll be hopefully an animated series about Mittens the cat or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say I love the Will Smith like he always says, like, don't worry about the house, like just lay that first brick perfectly, and then get that next brick and lay it perfectly, and like then suddenly you're like, oh, there's a wall, that's interesting, and then keep going brick by brick, like
right, yeah, and people will recognize, and they're not going to always say something. I've had people at Marvel and Disney looking at my stuff, and I finally talked to the guy that did stuff from Marvel and DC, and he's like, I met you years ago at a con. I was like, what? But I didn't have time to talk to you, but I met you, and I've been watching you all this time, and just what you've been growing over these years. And he's just like, oh my, yeah, I had a couple of tears come down my eyes, because it's like, you don't know who's watching you, but like you said, just taking that brick and building a piece at a time, and enjoy the journey, like and that was something I always say, Greg. It's not a race, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
And some people want things just overnight. They see there's only a very few overnight successes.
Yeah.
But
and even those normally have a very long span of failures before that too. It's like the overnight success that took 20 years. Like that's more
right.
That's
Yeah,
more
I think we had a guest on like a very, very long time ago. Joel Rodriguez, and he's part of Scout Comics now. He's like marketing or something like that. And he actually said the overnight to success for comics is like 10 years. So you're not going to become an overnight success.
That's actually apparently a saying in Nashville, that it's a 10-year city, meaning like if you move here and want to be successful, you basically just have to survive for 10 years doing the thing that you want to do. Like that's what most people don't realize. Like it's the whole Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule. Like, you have to put in 10,000 hours of work because somebody could be watching and you have no idea.
Yeah.
We have no idea who that 101th, our 101th follower is. Like that could be somebody huge that's just been watching going, that's interesting. I can't believe they're still going. Because like, what is it? Like most small businesses fail in a year to 5 years, right? If you get it past just the 5-year mark, you're now in amongst the top, 5% of successful businesses as long as you keep pushing. So
right. Yeah, that's what it's all about. And I'm glad you guys brought that out. A lot of people don't understand that. But it's essential for us as creators to realize that and to enjoy the journey. There's just very big moments that happen going, and I have to tell myself, even when I was doing music, okay, first breathe and be inside this moment, and it's awesome if it gets videoed, then you're able to go back and look at it, but be inside this moment, enjoy it, and so that's just part of the process. But
if you ever want to get good at that, like something that's funny, you always see those guys that are like, oh, I'm like filming or whatever, like they're like filming fireworks, and like they're fireworks, like looking through the camera will never be as good as looking up at the fireworks. So if you want to capture those moments, you kind of got to like do it in a way of like, learn how to film like this so you can still enjoy the moment. Yeah.
Right.
Get a shoulder mount so it looks like a parrot, and then go through the experience. Cause there's some moments that are like absolutely worth capturing. Even if it is just like a picture. So, you get that little sandlot. I call it the sandlot photo when you get that old photo before everything happens, so you definitely capture the moment sometimes, but if you're in something great, like, definitely experience it because like you that's the thing that you'll remember as great when you're really successful. It's that time that you broed it out on the couch with this one dude who turned out to get you into a room later that got your film scene somewhere, right? Like that's, that moment where you're like, oh man, like this is kind of cool. I'm just connecting with somebody.
Yeah. It's that's what it's all about. And I enjoy it.
So I was going to ask, so what's one of your most recently released projects that you're looking to shout out?
Well, the most recently is the Submerge Universe, and I apologize. There's a car going. I don't know what that's all about, but Submerge Universe 51X. I don't know if. There we go. This is the first issue on this, and
make full screen. One second. Yeah, there we go.
All right, I'm trying to get it without the glare on it, but yeah. So 51X, she's an android that seems to come up against an unstoppable force, Lord Raz. And she's dealing with her humanity as an android. So this is our first issue, and just like everything else is tied to our movies. So she actually makes a special appearance in our next movie that's coming out, Submerge Blue Star.
That's awesome.
So,
Very
so
cool.
that's out on our website.
Where is that on the website? If someone's gonna like try to grab that,
it's the very first page. If you on the home page, so you scroll down a little bit and you'll see a 51X comic.
Yeah, there it is. Yep, new issue 1. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
So that crowdfunding campaign is going to be on Indiegogo, right? For
that one's already out. Our next one actually, March 1st is when we're going to be doing the Indiegogo for the figure comic.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I wanted to do the comic. Here's the thing. The cool thing, over the last 8 years, people started getting into the films and things. So now I got to the point where when I was doing panels, people's like, oh, and so this character, the figure, I really like this guy, so mysterious, and what's going on? So conversation was going to this one character, and it was kind of like the Boba Fett kind of like thing, because he wasn't the main character. He's kind of back,
Yeah, like 10 minutes of footage at most.
right. And I'm like, wow, and so I was like, I need to start leaning that way. So I have a backstory or a story of where he come from and things. So we're about to do a comic of that, and then I was like, well, it'd be cool to have an animated series, a 6-part animated series based on that also. And so we have started the process on that, and we were working with some animators out of Istanbul, Turkey, working on that. And so probably looking at next year, beginning of next year, when the animated series comes out.
That's awesome. I was gonna say, if it's got that Boba Fett style vibe, you should totally make some like action figures with it. Just get some little toys.
Actually, we do.
There.
Actually, February 1st. Yeah, February 1st, the first action figure for the figure comes out, and we're going to be doing a pre-order for them. And sorry, got the noise here.
The suspense is killing me.
So this is our action figure.
Make it full screen, Greg. I want to see that. Nice.
And so I don't know.
Now we can see him. That's good.
Yeah. So
it has all the joints and stuff that move, or
yeah.
That's awesome.
And then his adversary, the Red Nova, we're getting some action figures of him. So these are going to be on pre-order, and these are going to actually, and I'm announcing that here, these are going to come with limited edition trading cards that when scanned, they will take you to a limited edition behind the scenes that no one will see except you have access to of
that
the
is
movie,
awesome.
of the figure. So but yeah,
sick.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
By the way, where were you able to get stuff that made? Were you able? Was it
the Philippines?
The Philippines? That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm working with people over in Poland, the Philippines, Venezuela, Istanbul, Turkey. So we've got some statues we're starting to make. I'm just excited to see creations, stuff you thought about and you kind of put on paper, and some of it's in film, but now this have action figures or statues of them.
Yeah, that's probably the coolest thing. Like, I actually just recently got a 3D printer, and I'm putting it together now. And basically, the whole reason I wanted to get it was to make like little, not even action figures, but like little figurines for our characters. And then eventually, if I could figure it out, make action figures. Just because like it'd be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, what if your musicians had their own action figure and a trading card to go with it, or NFT that went with it that the song. Sorry, I'm always.
Trust me, I went down that rabbit hole. Greg and I have talked about NFTs when it comes to creating comics. Because I'm also in the music industry, I'm trying to like, as we're building out our services on our platform now, so we can offer to create comics and any artwork for people. And I'd love to be able to put together like this artist package where, we can get you like a figurine of yourself as like a superhero, put it in a comic, get a trading card. Like that would just be incredible.
Yeah, all of that. It's fun, but it adds to the story world. I mean, as artists, you're creating a story. You're a character in the story. Your music, was telling a story, and so I look at all of that, and the NFT. That's what. At first, I was looking at for that, but we'll probably bring it with the next character. I got to learn a little bit more about it, but most definitely, it's be coming with a limited edition trading card, which actually is going to be some art from me. One of my
very cool.
I have this sketchbook, Submerge Universe sketchbook that I created, and so I'm starting to do my sketches of my characters in that book. And so this is one of the very first characters that I created in there, and I already did a Facebook post about it. So people are like, "Oh my God, it's your, you're doing your art and things like that." So people have a piece of that in limited edition. Nobody else will have that, So.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, the NFT world is definitely something that we gotta get more involved with, but. Once we get everything else moving along, kind of like you were saying, like probably the next release, it's like, we got to get some of our other stuff together and finalized before we can spend a little extra time diving into it. But definitely, like if you're in the creative, industries at all, you should be looking into those, even if it's just on your spare time.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, even if I get one or two pieces out there,
Yeah. It's kind of like the same as like making the action figures in the comic books, like just being like making stuff for everyone. Like the reason I want little action figures is because maybe someone buys the comic just to support us, but they actually love those action figures. We had a during our what's it called the virtual Comic-Con we had in November. We actually had someone on there who said a lot of the times if someone makes a really cool pin for their comic, and they just kind of like the comic, they'll still buy it because they love those pins. They like to collect these, very custom pins that no one else is going to have, right? Because it's only for this like one release. And so, it's brilliant to do that because there's the whole idea of the 1,000 true fans. And if you can find 1,000 people who are true fans, and a true fan is defined as somebody who will buy anything and everything you ever make because they just love what you do. And the whole point is eventually, if you're just making comics, you got a limited bandwidth on how fast those can be created. But if on the side you're creating action figures, little pins, you got little short films or even full films and movies, like suddenly there's this whole world where somebody like the way I like to see it, because Greg and I, we do a lot of world building in our comics. I like it when I find that guy who's got like 150,000 different Star Wars like unique things like mugs and all this stuff, and I'm like, that's who I want. I want somebody who loves their stuff that much, right? Where they're going dumpster diving because they know that this one store one time threw stuff out and it's probably in this particular pile, right? Like that's what I want.
Yeah, and they're out there. You just gotta put it out there. And what did some people say? Some people don't know they need that until you put it out there for it. Yeah, they don't know you need it until you really get it out there and get it in front of them. So
it's like, shut up and take my money.
right. So that's why it's key for me and the pandemic has kind of slowed a lot down, but getting out to these conventions, I've been I am a guest, not only as a filmmaker but as a vendor at a lot of Comic Cons, and um, so being able to talk to attendees and stuff, and some people that they're traveling around and like, oh, I seen you at the other one, and they might not buy something that last time, but they buy something this time. Um, that that has also gave me the different ideas of what people are into, like you said, the pins and things like that, or just lanterns and different things like that. So you're always looking at something that uh, people are going to like and they want a little piece of. And that
you bring up a good point with the like, you went to one Comic-Con, they saw you there, but they didn't buy anything, and the next time they saw you, they might buy something. There's like a whole rule in marketing where you need at least 7 touch points before someone even recognizes your brand, and you need about 20 before they buy it, right? So if you're only on Facebook and you only have comics, like no one's ever going to buy your stuff because they're going to get 5 touch points and never see you again. Right. So like the whole idea is like when you have, when you're at multiple Comic-Cons, so now those are a couple times they can see you. You have pins, and this guy's friend happens to like pins, so he looks at it and then he tells his friend there's another touch point. They see you at the next Comic-Con. This time you've got, a different banner because you're showing off a new action figure, right? And then they go and look up action figures later. Like all of those are considered touch points, and the more interactions you can have with your fans by being on a bunch of social media, by creating a bunch of different types of content for them to acquire, like comic books and action figures, attending networking things like Comic-Cons and film festivals. Like it's such a powerful way to basically force yourself into the light so that people can see you.
Yeah, and it's so key. Like we said, we're getting people are getting bombarded by so much entertainment and things like that, and you can say whatever you want, it's saturated and blah blah blah, but no, there is always a road for somebody to say, hey, it's that small group, that say, hey, I'm loving this. One of the cool things I've been able to do also is going from film to comics and things like that. I'm working with actors like Bishop Stevens, and then like I work with Katie O'Brien. She was just from a little bit up north here. Now Katie O'Brien's in The Mandalorian season 2, deck officer, 3 or 4 episodes. She's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She was in the last